Yet another video on how to get your letter round knife sharp and keep it that way. After I purchased my first side of letter, I used what I had, which was a utility knife, which cut, but I wasn't happy with it. So I purchased an X-Acto knife, which was a little bit sharper, but I found that I nicked the edges. So after a lot of thinking, I took the plunge and I purchased my first round knife, which is a Vergus Blanchard, but it was dull when it arrived and I had to figure out how to get it sharp. So I started with an Arkansas stone, but didn't make much headway. So I purchased a Japanese water stone. This stone in particular has two sides, the 1000 grit and a 3000 grit. So I started on the 1000, moved on to the 3000 after soaking it in water for a while, and that got the blade somewhat sharp. But to get my final edge, I made a strop, just a piece of wood I had lying around. I glued a piece of veg tan to both sides of it, smooth side down, flesh side up. On one side I spread jeweler's rouge, and on the other side I left it plain. And I'll demonstrate the technique that I found worked for me after looking at a lot of videos and spending hours and hours of trying to get this thing as sharp as I needed it to be. And what I'm going to show you also works on the stone, but I'm not going to show that now. And also, once you get it sharp on the stone, you just need to use your strop to keep the edges sharp. Now, what I found that works best is I split this into two, so that I do half of it first and then the other half. And I tilt it, I'll show at an angle about this much. And I do two motions at the same time. I rotate and I pull. So I'll slow it down and then I'll speed it up later. So I do this way while pulling. And then I do the same thing on the other side. I rotate and I pull. Rotate and pull. So I'll just do this here. Just a few strokes. And a few strokes this way, keeping my hand out the way so that I don't cut myself. Then I flip it over and I do the same thing. Turn it over to the smooth side, the side with no rouge on it, to give it that finishing touch. So I'm rotating while holding it at an angle and pulling at the same time. And with practice, it becomes a whole lot easier. Okay, so after using this for a while, I talked to Ross Reichman of Einhorn Leather, and he came up with this for me, which he incidentally now sells. This is a quarter round, which I like a lot because I can use it to push and pull depending on what I'm doing. And this is much easier to handle and much easier to sharpen. Actually, it's quicker. Plus, it came sharp, so I never needed to use a stone. I just used a strop to keep it sharp. So basically, same motion, rotate and pull. I'll slow it down, rotate and pull. Let's see, turn it, rotate and pull. And I'll do the same for the other side. I find it easier to switch hands. Now, if you find that motion a bit hard because of the dexterity involved, you can also lay the blade down like this and pull. This also works just as well, it just takes a little bit longer because you have to do one section of the blade at a time. Can't do it all as in the other method. Turn it over, I hold it at an angle, and I just pull. Flip it over and repeat on this side to give it that razor sharp edge. So I'm just pulling it away, turn it over and repeat. And you do it until you get the desired edge that you need, and then it's really easy. I just pushed, and now I'm going to demonstrate pulling, and that's it. And this is very dry vetched end, but it makes easy work. And live a bit dangerously here. There we go.